It's time for another episode of the All Things Techie podcast where we're talking about Apple turning 50. We talk about robotic lawnmowers that are turning suburban lawns into deadly battlegrounds with hedgehogs. 950 drones recreating a full-scale glowing Titanic in Belfast. And 12 tons of KitKats that became a masterclass in digital marketing. That and a lot more to unpack with a special guest from Murphy Daly on our new book on project management. It's all here on episode 145 of the All Things Techie podcast.
Here's the show that loves to talk about gadgets and gizmos, from A-Logic to Yamaha, cameras to control panels. You get what I mean. We love talking all things techie. In fact, that's the name of the show. And here is your host, Justin Dawson.
Welcome along to the All Things Techie podcast. My name is Justin Dawson, and thank you. I hope you have had a great Easter holidays. We are just out of the Easter holidays. We're just out of the April Fool's jokes that went on throughout the whole of the 1st of April with tech jokes. And because of AI, just believe absolutely nothing that goes on in the world anymore. Maybe that's just a continuous trend after the 1st of April. If you'd like to get in contact with the All Things Techie podcast, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can view us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram at Sir Justin Dawson. You can also find the All Things Techie podcast website at www.allthingstech.ie. Like, comment, share and subscribe. And we're across all your audio podcast networks. Just search for All Things Techie podcast. And of course, you can visit my new website. I've advertised this a couple of weeks ago. Sir Justin Dawson is my website there, and you can view all my previous episodes of the All Things Techie podcast and some of my writings there as well, and product reviews and God knows what else that I decide to put up there. So how's everyone doing? I hope you are doing well. Let's dive straight into it. The robotic lawnmower. I've seen so many of the robotic lawnmowers over at CES in January, and even offered to test a couple of these lawnmowers. I have a small lawn, so I might get to that, or get one of my colleagues to test out a robotic lawnmower. But it's quiet, it's autonomous, and it saves you a lot of time and back-breaking yard work. But there's a side to this convenience. These high-tech helpers are turning our suburban lawns into deadly battlegrounds for native wildlife, specifically in the European hedgehog, because the urban development and intensive agriculture has wiped out their natural habitats. Hedgehogs have been forced to move into our cities and private gardens, but they are struggling. In the past decade, hedgehog populations have plummeted by at least 30%. In fact, as of 2024, they are officially downgraded to near threatened on the International Red List of Endangered Species. Now, I know this is a tech podcast. Bear with me, listeners. So if we're packing these lawnmowers with hundreds of dollars worth of sensors and smart tech, why can't they detect a spiky mammal in the hedgehog? That is the question. It boils down to fatal mismatch between nature and engineering. When a hedgehog is scared, its ancient survival instinct tells us not to run away, but to curl up into a tight, spiked ball and stay completely still. Now, when I started researching this story, I was thinking, even if it rolls up into a ball, surely robotic lawnmowers are trying to avoid still objects like a rock in the soil, you would think. But clearly not. While this works great against a fox, it's catastrophic when facing high-speed spinning metal blades of a lawnmower because of the hedgehog. Because the hedgehog comes in a low-profile, static object, modern sensors simply fail to see it. Researchers recently tested 19 commercially available robotic mowers. They found a glaring technological flaw, with one single exception: the mowers had to physically bump into the hedgehog to detect it. So there you have it. You have the robotic lawnmowers. They're like the robotic hoovers or vacuum cleaners, that it has the bump pad on front, and when it hits something, it will turn around. Well, that's going to be the same with the lawnmower, except this is a hedgehog that's going to get splattered.
The robotic lawnmowers are getting more and more popular, at least in Scandinavia. So we have a lot of robotic lawnmowers driving around, also at night when the hedgehogs are active. So it's become like a general truth for the public in Denmark, at least, that the robotic lawnmowers hurt hedgehogs. And then I'm going to place them in front of the robotic lawnmowers to test whether the robotic lawnmowers detect the dead hedgehogs and whether they move past them and if they actually injure the hedgehogs.
At least 60% of the injured animals were not discovered for days or even weeks, suffering in silence under the hedges. This brings us to the political pushback happening right now in Germany. Because robotic mowers are so quiet, people love them to run at night. But hedgehogs are nocturnal. They are most active in dusk and dawn. Now, we're getting to the stage where lawmakers are saying enough in Germany. Several major cities, including Google's Cologne, Leipzig and Munich, have already banned the nighttime use of robotic mowers. So how does the tech industry fix this problem with robotic lawnmowers? Well, scientists at the University of Oxford and Aalborg University are actively working on a solution. They've actually used 3D printers to create crash test dummy hedgehogs to test mowers safely. The goal is to force the European Committee of Electrotechnical Standardization to adopt a mandatory safety test. Soon, you might be able to look for a hedgehog-friendly certification before you buy. Some brands are finally stepping up, incorporating camera technology instead of just relying on the physical bump sensors. So you do see this on vacuum cleaners around the house. You will now eventually see a camera on your robotic lawnmower. Welcome back to the All Things Techie podcast, where we explore the latest technology shaping our world and sometimes how it's reshaping your past. Yes, when we think of history, what usually comes to mind? Dusty textbooks, right? Well, maybe some black and white photographs or a museum plaque with tiny text. But what if history could literally rise out of the water in front of your eyes? That is what happened right here in Belfast Harbour in Northern Ireland. On Monday, March the 30th, an incredible technological feat took right beside the Titanic slipways. A massive flotilla of nearly 1,000 drones, 950 drones, took to the night sky to recreate the RMS Titanic. The visual sequence was absolutely stunning. The drones started hovering right near the surface of the water, completely in the dark. Then they turned their lights on and slowly rose into the sky, arranging themselves into the precise shape of the iconic ship. And here's the most mind-blowing part. They built this digital ghost ship at a true one-to-one scale. This wasn't a miniature model. The drone formation spanned an incredible 882.75 feet, perfectly matching the length of what was once the largest, most luxurious ship ever built. I know what you're thinking. I live in Belfast. How on earth did I miss this 900-foot glowing ship floating over the harbour? Well, you aren't alone. The event was completely kept in secret from the general public. Organisers did not publicise the massive display in advance because of safety concerns. To avoid thousands of people swarming the docks and creating a logistical and safety nightmare, the whole thing was staged quietly. And you know what? That's a bit upsetting because it was such an incredible feat. Instead of the live public audience, the event was filmed to be broadcast later as part of a tribute. The footage was set to air on BBC One Northern Ireland and BBC Two Northern Ireland on Thursday, April the 2nd at 8 p.m. And even at that, I missed that whole experience. I had to research some of this video footage. The date and time were chosen deliberately. It was broadcast exactly 114 years after the original Titanic left the docks in Belfast to head to Southampton. This haunting, beautiful display was orchestrated as part of BBC's Made of Here campaign, which celebrates homegrown storytelling. Specifically, it was inspired by the massive success of the docudrama Titanic Sinks Tonight, produced by Belfast-based Stephanie Media. According to Simon Young, the head of the BBC Factual Commissioning, there was simply no better way to mark the construction of the history's most famous ship than bring it back to life exactly where it was built. And that quote brings me to the core of what I want to discuss today on All Things Techie. Let's talk about how we display history. For generations, if you want to understand the Titanic, you looked at the textbook. You read the tragic numbers that it hit an iceberg on April the 14th, 1912, and sank in the morning of April the 15th, resulting in the deaths of 1,635 people with only 710 survivors. You might look at a few old, grainy photographs. And, of course, there is the Titanic exhibition up in Belfast as well. But the textbooks and the photos require us to use our imagination to fill the gaps. They struggle to convey scale. They struggle to convey presence. Drones are changing that. This 950 drone display proves that unmanned aerial vehicles are no longer just tools for videography or package delivery. They are a revolutionary medium for historical education and public art. When those drones formed a one-to-one scale model of the Titanic, they gave reviewers an understanding of how massive this ship was. You don't have to guess what 882 feet looks like on a piece of paper. You can look up to the night sky and see it towering over the modern harbour. Kieran Doherty, the co-CEO of the production company behind the Titanic documentaries, said that working in Belfast gave them a connection to the story that went beyond the visuals. He said, "We weren't just imagining the story, we're standing in it." Standing in it. That's exactly what this drone technology can do for the general public. It takes us out of the classroom and places us inside the history. Imagine applying this technology to other historical events. What if drones could recreate lost architectural wonders right over the ruins of where they once stood? What if they could trace the historical paths of ancient rivers right through the middle of modern cities? Photos showing us what they look like, textbooks tell us what happened, but a massive glowing 3D spatial recreation hovering over the sky where the Titanic was built, that makes you feel a part and weight of the history. It creates hauntingly beautiful emotional connection that piece together what paper cannot replicate. While it is a shame that Belfast public couldn't gather in person to witness this spectacular light show due to the safety concerns, the footage is preserved for everyone to see. It serves a brilliant proof of concept. As drone technology becomes more advanced, more stable and more affordable, we are going to see a massive shift in how museums, cities and educators choose to tell their stories. History is no longer something that we read about. Thanks to tech and AV, it is something we can watch and rise from the water. What do you guys think? Are drone displays the ultimate future of historical moments? Head over to our social pages and let us know what you think and the thoughts of the Belfast Titanic display. We'll be right back interviewing Murphy Daly on her new book on project management in AV. Stay tuned. It's the All Things Techie podcast. My name is Justin Dawson. As you can see on the bottom of your screen, if you're watching on the video episode of the podcast, that you can contact me on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram at Sir Justin Dawson. Also a brand new website, apart from the All Things Techie podcast website, www.sirjustindawson.com. I have a couple of blog posts and articles. You can find all the things that I get up to on a daily and weekly basis. Now, getting into my guest interview, and I've known about this for the past 2 years, I can say, and I love when people actually have something on their bucket list of things to do and actually complete it. And unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough to be to make the official announcement, but that's fair enough. Murphy does have her own podcast as well, where she attends as well with AV Life. So I guess they had royalties to this announcement.
They had right.
They had right.
Yeah.
let's go back in time, Murphy, of how we got to know each other. We're talking about the old days of Chris Netto and
Oh
the
my.
AV happy hours. Look,
Oh, the COVID happy hour.
they were so great. Bring
They
back the
were.
AV happy hours.
Oh, yes,
Wasn't
we
that
were
great?
locked down. We were locked down like we were huddling in a bomb shelter,
Yes.
and we were with our microphones and our cameras.
Yeah.
Hello.
And
How
do
are
you
you
know what?
doing?
When
Are
all
you
said and
okay?
done, it's like 6 years ago. And like now
Was.
we're talking about like nearly this month. It's 6 years ago. Where is it gone? But like then 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and I mean after 20 years of not being in the States, I finally get back to the United States, over to Infocom, my first Infocom, and we got to hang out, and how we were able to like put virtual faces together
That's
and
right.
meet these all these AV professionals over in America. It was a great night.
We
It
were
was
walking we were walking in the streets of Las Vegas, and
mhm.
Las Vegas that day, as it often is, was the face of the sun. It's
Yes.
very hot out
Oh
there.
my
So we
God,
were
isn't it just in July? I think I don't ever want to go to Vegas again in July. No.
and it was even nighttime, but it didn't matter.
It was so hot. It was
It was
ridiculously
a
hot.
break of the sun had gone down, but we were walking through the waves of heat. And I think we were looking, what was it? We were looking for hamburgers.
Yes, we ended up in out.
That's
Yes,
right. My
yes,
local
yeah.
chain.
See, I'm so jealous that like In and Out is your local chain. We had a pop up store. I sent it all to all the
Oh,
Hetman guys as well. We had a pop up store in Dublin for one day, and literally there was a queue, like literally around the block, for just getting an In and Out burger.
it
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of when Moscow got the first McDonald's right after, you know, the Soviets finished.
and,
So
and
it's like
like
Ireland had their in and out for a day.
yeah, one day, and like,
Um,
look, I could tell you loads of stories, like non-AV stories about when we got our first Krispy Kreme in North County Dublin, and that was during the just at the end of the COVID lockdown, sort of tying it all in nicely. It, they kept open 24 hours, and
wow.
they had to close the local council had to go, we're not allowing this anymore, because like the residents aren't even able to sleep because there's so much noise being, cars beeping the horn trying to at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get donuts,
That's
um
crazy.
but
But see, I mean, Justin,
yeah,
you guys do have Guinness every day of the year.
yeah. And do you know what? I don't
God
even
bless
drink
you.
it. I don't
I would if I visit. I enjoyed it the time I've been there and like, yes, this is very different here.
And
And it was
just
delicious.
just to link in, like, because I sort of put my guests under the spotlight. You lived in Russia during the Soviet
Oh,
times, so let's sort of go back in time of like I ask my guests usually, especially AV professionals, like, where did it all begin? Like, I've had some crazy stories of people that have studied things that are completely non-AV. For example, Mark
mm,
Coxon, I always think, has
oh, wow.
the best story of how he fell into AV. How did you fall into AV? And is it linked with Russia?
Okay, I never thought about connecting those two, but let us go down that journey
Yeah.
for just a moment. The reason that we were talking about it was because the book before this one is My Russian American School of Tomorrow,
Hmm.
available on Amazon. It's a memoir, and it is a story about how when I was 18 and 19 years old, and I went with my family on a to teach in Russia, and I landed the day before the Soviet Union fell.
Wow.
It was not a good time to be traveling in there, and there was a
Oh,
warning for Americans to leave. But we were ignoring that because we were on a mission. We were on a mission to teach in a school that taught the Bible. And I
wow.
phrase that oddly. You could call it missionary, but you'd have to read the book to find out what exactly it was all about. Anyway, um, so while I was there, I chose to, that was a young age. So I put my college education on pause to be there. I ended up being there for a year and a half. And when I came back to America, after I'm like, I need to go start my life now, please. So I came back to America and began doing college again.
Mhm.
And I got a college internship. I bounced around and ended up in Silicon Valley. And I got a college internship at De Anza College for my Silicon Valley people. De Anza College is in Cupertino, next to where Apple started, right?
Right.
So I got a chance to be at NASA Ames internship
Wow.
doing, I know, I'm kind of a Forrest Gump kind of thing where I've done a lot of interesting, like what happened on this famous day in history. I got an internship being a tester for desktop video conferencing, which in 1997 was barely a thing.
Yeah, like did Cisco even exist back then? Did they-
Cisco, I don't know if Cisco existed, but it certainly didn't make video conferencing.
Right.
What we had then was net meeting and oh gosh, there was a what's it? I'm thinking Timbuktu, but I think that's the name of the company that did like I forget the name. It was like Talk to Me or something. It was
Right.
very early.
And like, are we talking about like nearly like the Atari type of pixelation in a video conference call?
Interesting that you say that because there was a lot of discussion about whether you could get all the way up to 30 frames per second, which you could do at 384K using 3 ISDN lines.
ISDN. Yeah.
384K.
Yeah.
But if you could only afford one ISDN line, which is 2 channels, I'm getting in there, guys. This is AV. Two channels, you could get to 128, and that would allow you to get to 15 frames per second, which was only a little bit choppy.
Wow. Wow.
And that would allow, there was a delay on there was an intentional delay put on the signal so that the video would come just a little bit. No. The audio would come just a little bit later so it would match the lips.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. No, I remember like when you talk about ISDN lines, I remember my early days just out of college and trying to get the sports news into a radio station, and when the ISDN lines would drop and, you know, sort of breaking the rules and being up on the roof of the building, giving the dish a bit of a shake and a bit of a kick to try and get the
Kicking it.
to get working. Yeah. So well, that was your first rodeo in the AV end of things.
Yes.
Wow.
So I started there, and then I went, wait a minute, I have a year internship under my belt. I think I could do night school and start my career now. So that's what I did do. I didn't go back to school full time, which I was thinking of doing, but like, I'm going to because so I ended up rolling into I didn't think of it as AV at the time. I thought of it as networking.
Yeah. Like
and telecom.
And okay, these are the times where like I go, AV is not IT, IT is, but it is merging, and I just, you know, I never want to admit it fully, but it is merging. But those type of things when you go video conferencing, I call video conferencing still AV. So there we go.
Yes, I mean definitively it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So with that, how long have you been involved with, I guess when we're talking back in the 90s, we can say use the word Infocom International, which is now Avixa. When did the CTS come on board for you, Murphy?
I had no idea of Infocom at all. I
Right.
knew nothing of Infocom. There was no I didn't know what that was. And I think maybe I heard the word once or twice in a magazine, but it's a not very descriptive word. Infocom. What does that mean? I don't know. Why would I know
And
anything?
I
That means
remember
if you
that
see
even
it.
when I was in Ireland, like, and working in the financial live events, PwC, and doing those type of things, where, you know, just turn around to a colleague and it's like, have you ever heard of Infocom? What is this association? Yeah. And it was only a couple of years later that it became a Bixa. Um, but yeah, I did my CTS under Infocom myself. What year was it? 2017. Yeah,
I
2017.
have, yeah. So I got my CTS 2021. I'm going to say it's lapsed. I'm sorry. I was not able to keep it up.
Okay,
So I'm still putting it on there that I have it because I did get it.
you did
I
get
didn't
it.
keep it up.
Okay.
I tried to keep it up, but there was that whole unpleasantness of cancer treatments.
Oh, of course, yes.
Right.
That goes in, sort of into the memoir book as well. But like
Yeah.
you had a lot going on. Like even when we last talked, there was so like 2 years ago, like when you started talking about making this book, you know it was a bucket list thing to do. Um, but yeah,
I remember.
you've had so many
Was it
help
only 2 years ago? It might have been more than 2 years ago.
that we met. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Was it
just
only?
it'd be three
I don't
years.
know.
It'd be 3 years this July. Yeah, as we were
Okay.
in Vegas. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. All right.
It,
Yes. Okay then. Yes.
yeah. So yes, you like. Let's not go too deep into it, but like you recovered from cancer treatments and everything.
Yes.
Like how long? Like that was a long stage of cancer treatment.
I was diagnosed in like the first week of 2023.
Wow.
And so
And between
cancer,
that and changing
it was
jobs, yeah.
four, yeah, four surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation. Oh yeah, because it was two different kinds of cancer. I also got to have radioactive treatments, two different of those. So that took a while to get through. So at this
Wow.
point, I'm cancer free. I'm happy about that. So fight that. Do
Yes.
not give in. And
Did you
for
get
what
to ring the
I went
bell?
through, I did, but that was for the chemo, and then there were
Right.
like three other things after
Oh,
that. So I was
wow.
like,
Okay.
okay,
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay. Yes.
yeah. So
So,
all that.
but okay. So you have your AV background. You did have your CTS, and
Yeah, I did.
okay.
Yes.
Yes. But where does project management come in the fray
Mm.
in between all this?
Okay. I'm
Yes.
glad you asked that, Justin. Here we are. I have the job that I held for the longest
Mhm.
was at a HMO here in California, Kaiser, and this is a chain of hospitals, right?
Okay.
So we had set up the all of the video conference systems so that doctors could get together and do administration, do grand rounds where they confer with one another about treating the different patients. In any case, I was responsible for managing all of Southern California's maintenance on this. So, like, how many hospitals were there? Well, let me put it this way. When I started, there were 80 video conference endpoints, and those were CRTs side by
Yes.
side with a camera at the top. Um, and there were 86 of those. When I finished 9 years later, there were 170 endpoints.
Wow. Of
So over those times, they increased the number. They
course.
increased the number, and they also did a lot of like full refreshes.
Mhm.
Like we had to go to flat screens rather than the big tube
Oh my
TVs,
God. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So as I first got there, they didn't have a real sense. They weren't organized. And good Lord, I'm a systems person. So I came in. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this all straightened out. They didn't even have the right addresses for all the locations. They kind of just followed their nose and asked people. I'm like, if I have to manage all this, I need to get this sorted out. And then I realized, okay, we need to. There were a number of places that had ISDN that needed to go to IP,
Hmm.
needed to get on uh, IP, cat cable instead of
Yeah.
cotton.
Yeah.
Not I'm saying cotton. No,
Uh,
copper.
Copper. Yes.
Copper wiring. So I'm like, okay, I need to work with the the organization to do this lift of a more broad upgrade. So I met with a project manager.
When you say this, like, was there any team, or was it just Murphy by herself doing all this work and all this grinding?
There was a team.
But they were very scattered, it sounds like.
No. Remember, I don't know. Okay, some of the people in the audience are going to remember a time when you had to bridge a call.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah.
Yes. So what was that? God, what was that bridge that we had? It was one of the best bridges from the late 90s. I forget which one it was, but okay. We had that bridge, so it had to be done, and we had people who scheduled all the rooms because these were 300 square miles of territory.
Yeah, I remember in PwC days, like, we had to bridge calls as well, and then eventually you see the likes of Zoom and now Teams and stuff.
Right. So the fact that bridging is done on the fly, software wise, is good. So at the time, I'm like, I had to make sure that it all worked, so that when the calls came out, and the SLA agreement was have these calls up within 15 minutes, and really, they needed to not ever go down. So I can achieve that, and I've done
it is medical, you know.
It's medical, but it wasn't telemedicine. Okay. Now telemedicine is that way, but these were like people having meetings. So the worst that would happen is they'd have to go like downgrade to a phone call,
right.
Which you wouldn't want to do, because sometimes they did have things to show, right? The document cameras and all that, right?
Oh God, yeah. And we're not talking about the document cameras that you see now at ISE or Infocom. No, we're talking about very simple document cameras, yeah. And Nini, are we going back as far as acetates on these document cameras? No,
I don't think so. No. Or if they were, they sat on that document camera. So.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so how it got to project management is, okay, I needed to make the operations happen, but when I had to do this kind of level up where I had to integrate with other systems, like if I had to go work with truly the wiring department, which is a level outside of what we were managing, I had to work with a project manager. And when I was starting to work with hospitals, there are certain regulations that have to be met. So then it's what I call the council of project managers. So a project manager from every one of the entities that have to be, there's like the facility, and then there's the different department, and then there's maybe the doctors, and they all come in and have and the architect that's pulled in for the whatever, and they all come in and sit around at the table. And the one person says, okay, we're talking about this. And everyone adds their part so that they can move forward.
And how quickly do you get scope creep in that 5 minutes of being in the room? I say quick enough. Oh, it wasn't too bad. Okay.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad because the people knew what was happening, and this is a very rigid environment, so they weren't allowed to just say, well, let's make it purple. They weren't doing that. So this is a hospital.
That links into like a totally different story, which you can look up in your own time, because Ireland, I think I told you about this 2 years ago, and we're still working on it, is Ireland has the most expensive non-finished children's hospital in the world at 2.2 billion euro. Yes. Yeah. we'll leave that there as I silence Murphy right there.
That was me choking back different responses about other things that are in America that seem to be going more expensive than they ought to. So it's a shame.
We could have a sphere in Ireland at that price, yeah. But like that, like why I laugh is like you saying it's like let's make it purple. It's like that's what it feels like. The Children's Hospital. There's too many groups deciding things, and you know what? I do believe that they ran Cat5 cable across the building.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, charming.
Oh, charming, yes.
So all the video is in black and white, is it?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Like there is talks of like AI robots and stuff like that. And I've seen AI robots and Medcare AI robots like delivering the medication management across floors and stuff like that when I was over at CES in January. I was like, yeah, that's nice to have. Can we finish the building first? You know, can we
Start
open
with
the
a roof
hospital?
and a floor.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry,
Oh.
that was a sort of a side journey there, but yes,
Uh-huh.
I can relate to the project scope of some of these things.
Right. But I saw this and I was just like, why is this so slow? And I didn't quite know where to jump in and say what I needed to know or where to ask questions.
And
So
you're
I'm like,
new kid on the block as well. You're feeling a bit
well, I was new to that table.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That table, the council of project managers, right? So I'm like, oh, well, I got certified in ISDN when I needed to understand ISDN.
hmm
So I'm like, I should get certified in project management so I can make these projects go better. Because
right,
I got my area sorted out. I had gotten all the cables cleaned up. I'd gotten like the stock of equipment so that I could swap out when things went down. The
right.
usual things that we as AV people know,
hmm
you know, have this, have all those things. I had that totally nailed down because this was not the first place I worked. This was the fourth or something like that, right, in AV.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I got certified in project management, which meant PMP.
hmm
And it took a lot of studying. And, you know, fortunately, PMP, this is how I think of the PMP. Think of, and I read the PMBOK, the Project Management Book of Knowledge. It's like,
So big.
it's,
But it's so scientifically boring.
it,
Sorry, I'm gonna say it. It is boring. Like because I've done my IPMA, and I have my D certification. I know that's the lowest of the chain, but even at that, like some of the I did it during COVID, and some
mm,
of the classes were interesting, and people would give stories, and other times it was just like reading the book while on a Zoom call for 2.5 hours, and I'm like per week, and I'm like, oh, shoot me now! I am so ridiculously bored.
this is how I got my PMP.
hmm
I rode the bus to work,
Right.
and the bus ride was about an hour each way. And I studied every day by reading the book, an hour there and an hour back.
hmm
And I did a little extra on the weekend. But I was doing this on the
Yes.
bus. That's how I got through it.
Right.
I was actually very pregnant with my daughter. I
Wow.
took the 4-hour test when I was about 8 months pregnant. And I was making sure, I'm like, let me make sure that I don't drink too much water so that I don't lose some of that precious 4 hours to
Yes.
answer the questions by going to the bathroom. Because they
Right.
wouldn't pause the clock for you.
No, they don't. No.
No. So that's how I remember. My daughter is 17 now. How long have I been a PMP? Oh, 18 years.
Wow. That's
Because
fantastic.
I had it right before. So that's to say, um, all of that information, I gleaned it, and then I went, this doesn't sound anything like AV. This
Oh,
doesn't, and I didn't think of it. Remember, I still wasn't thinking AV. I said, it doesn't sound like IT. I thought of myself as an IT person. Like, this doesn't sound like IT. So that's when a year later, I went with another friend. She had gotten her PMP too.
mhm.
And I said, hey, let's go take this Scrum class.
Okay.
So I got my Scrum Master, which
And
was
did you find
significantly
this?
easier.
Is it? Yeah. Like, but like, can you relate better to a career path with the Scrum than with the project management qualification?
I think both of them serve.
Okay.
So Scrum by itself, um, Scrum by itself is like insufficient, honestly.
Mm.
So
It is. Yes. Yeah. The
it felt like
PMP
it's
is
PMP is
is the yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
all of the things that you might ever need. It's there's a popular book when women are I'm just talking about being pregnant. There's a book called What to Expect When You're Expecting. Have you seen this book?
I have heard of
Or
it.
heard of it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
Like,
it's
do you
really
know what?
thick.
Yeah, yeah. You could
And
buy so many books when you find out that your partner is pregnant, and it's like a book. Of course, the most important book is again the book of baby names, and then you're trying to like
sure.
narrow it down to like how many what
Oh my
names are you
God.
going to use? Yes, yeah.
We're touching everything. We are touching everything. Where is
And look at
I don't have it here
actually
because
looks
that's another
behind her.
book of mine. That's
Yes.
another book of mine.
Oh,
After I finished my first book, which is a sweet little story called The Parable of Miriam the Camel Driver, which is actually based on AV,
okay.
because it's a story about Miriam the camel driver. And I was thinking, how can I talk about this job in my career that I have? What is video conferencing? Video conferencing is supposed to replace travel, but I'm not the person traveling. I'm the person helping the travel happen. The
Yes.
camel driver. It's a
Right.
caravan.
Oh, lovely.
The camel driver. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
and then that was my first book. The second book was a handbook called The Pregnant Professional, a handbook for women who plan to work during and after pregnancy.
I, you know, now,
Yeah.
wait. I'm going to go down the route of Avixa again here and go, you must have done so much stuff now with the Avixa Women's Council, because like all these type of areas, I can see you standing up on stage as a panel discussion talking about, women in AV.
I should do more of that.
You
Yes, this
should.
is more of what I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
you going on, speaking about what this is the platform. So, okay, can we
Let's
talk about this
yes,
then?
let's talk about the
Talk
book,
about that.
because
So
yes.
the project management, that I got those certifications because project management felt different than doing IT. It felt grabbing these people, and very different sorts of peoples with specialties, which was very different than me head down making stuff work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, project management is different. So I'm like, So then a little bit later, I leaped into the title and the practice of project management.
Right.
So that's when I was doing all the AV. I had all this AV operational background, years of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the technical, making the lights light up, making the signal go, responding to the operations, right? And so then I go into project management and like, okay, doing an installation is a very specific thing, and having all those people together, all those connections. So I'm thinking kind of like an engineer or a designer. And I've done all the things. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take all of what it takes to make a project in AV come together. So this is a skinny little book. And let me tell
I'm
you,
surprised how skinny you made that, Murphy, especially when you know that the PMP and the Scrums books are at least this thick. Yes.
but when you read it, Justin, and all of the people listening to this podcast, when you read it, you will know all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You will know, start to finish, how to handle an AV project.
Oh yeah. Like, look, we all like I always say that I go to these trade shows, Murphy, just so I can have a rant and a therapy session over a beer of things that have gone wrong. We hardly talk about the things that go right in AV. We talk about the bad experiences of,
Yes.
like, and you did read me a bit of your chapter 4 there of like trying to get screens into a lift.
And that is from the chapter called The Site Walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like, hey, the project manager needs to make sure that the equipment can get to the place that it'll be installed.
But do you know what, Murphy? I think like from coming from a private sector background, and of course you can relate to this as well, into public sector and working in universities and working in higher ed. I've worked in 2 different universities now, so I don't have to finger point out one, right? But oh my God, like there's times where I'm nearly feeling like banging my head off a wall, because it's like, to me, this sounds like simple logic. Why haven't you got a project manager on this project from start to finish and making sure that what was written down at the very beginning is actually being put in place by your integrator and signing it off correctly? And you have examples of integrators getting paid before the job is even done. You have the moment of going, yeah, has no one actually thought of like, this is not the right box that you're putting in there? And I know that's sort of technical, but also as simple as
That's
what
real.
you put it, it's real. And also, you have not thought about how you're going to get this monitor up 2 flights of stairs into this building, have you? No, you haven't. You know, or, you know, like I actually know of examples, and I won't name which AV company, like literally arriving on site to put in an LED wall,
Mm.
but the wall in the building hasn't even been built.
I mentioned that. I forget which chapter it was. I think, oh, I do say, get proof that the site is ready. Get photos
Yeah,
that the site is ready. And
yeah,
don't, project manager, don't release the people to go on site until you're sure that their site is ready.
yeah, yeah.
Basic things like that. Yeah. And so this is not something that the PMBOK covers.
No.
No.
And I could
They
tell,
assume
I
that
could
you'll
tell you from doing
understand.
the
And it's like,
IPMA is
mm,
no, it doesn't. It like it,
no.
you don't get to give examples a lot, and that's why I find it. I'm going to use that word again, boring, because it goes into graphs, it goes into timelines, it goes into all these terminology words that uh, honestly I forget now. I would have to open up my book and reference them if I'm ever doing projects and stuff like that. It goes into a lot of terminology that you just go, no, like break it down into simple English. These are the types of things that you need to do.
Hmm. One of the things that I say that's very specific, that let me tell you, the PMBOK is not going to have, or Scrum, because it's not specific enough. How do you schedule how do you pick the time when you're going to do the install? You have to make sure all the equipment is there. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a sheet in there saying you can use this, get a list of all your equipment and put a date of when it's going to be there. Put the shipping number from whatever shipping company you're using, FedEx, DHL, whatever, of when it's supposed to arrive. And don't schedule the installation team to go there until the whole thing is there. They got to have something to install. Don't waste people's time.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the chapter about scheduling.
I find it really interesting there, just rewinding a bit, where you talk about the what was the words, the circle of project managers.
The
That's
council.
the council of project managers. That sounds like a very, very scary thing. Like it's not, and I don't mean it in a Freemason type of way, but sometimes you just go, can you not just have one project manager? And when you have several project managers, isn't that just increasing the layers of confusion
Well,
and risk of things going wrong?
well, no,
No, okay.
no, because it's kind of like we're having a plan. It's the stakeholders, all the different
Okay.
entities that
Yes,
have
okay.
a stake in it. They're like, okay, the place that they're doing the work in, we have the facility has to be there. We have to have the organization that is using it. Let's say the nurses who are going to be using this particular AV install, and then the doctors who are also going to be joining in sometimes. We're talking about like a hospital environment. So you've got and then you also have the people who are responsible for the regulations to make sure that they will continue to meet all the rules that they have to, the laws they have to follow. So all of those people have to be in there to go over any of the changes, say, this is what the plan is, this is what we're doing, and they come up with the plan. And if any of those things that they came up with in the plan, which is really done outside of the meeting, say, okay, here it is, then the people of the council have to look it over and say, yes, 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 yes. And they all have to come in and say, yes, this is approved.
Mhm.
And if there is a thing, because the people who understand regulations understand their part, the nurses who understand what needs to happen, the AV person who's going to be putting in, and maybe the electrician who's going to be running the wires for it, all have to be in there, and they all have a different expertise. It's like, hey, if it's just an AV project, the programmer knows something that absolutely has to be said that the audio technician doesn't know, and the audio technician knows things that the programmer doesn't know. It's
Yeah.
the same kind of counsel.
And
So
and it's so important to have all those, or what I would consider stakeholders around the
yeah,
table, because you will end up seeing projects where they're like, oh, well, and I'm going to use the nursing background again here. Oh, well, we're going to put in a box here because of streaming. It's like, yeah, streaming is one thing. doing simulation is a different thing. You know, it's not just streaming content. You know, so you put in the wrong box here.
Yeah.
Is the way
Apple TV is different than medical imaging.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You know, and or you might end up having a project manager asking the wrong questions because they are not technical savvy.
Right. So,
Right.
and all these things have to be at the table. So yes, you can say the Council of Project Managers are scary, and they are, but it's like similar if there is a contract being signed, like all the lawyers from the different parties who were signing the contract have to be there to review it and make sure that it says what it's supposed to say to protect everybody.
Now, you know, not playing devil's advocate for a minute or so.
Okay.
You know, now that you have the book out, you know, while writing this book, have you ever thought to yourself, oh, well, you know, Avixa have their courses and stuff like that. Maybe I should become a trainer. Maybe I should apply to, you know, or maybe I should, this book that I'm trying to write is really an online course that I want to create.
Well,
Now
look at you, Justin. What a fantastic idea. Perhaps I should consider creating a course. That's something I would look into. At the moment, it hasn't even been out a month at this recording. So it's fresh and new. I'm getting a lot of responses.
You are getting a lot of responses. How's the book sales going? Is it going well?
At this moment, I have sold 112 copies.
Woo! Woo!
Yep. And that's all me talking about it and other people talking about it. There's no advertisement.
Like you're less than 2 weeks out.
Yeah. No, it's almost a month. Technically,
oh God, wow, that month has gone quickly.
Well, I mean, technically, it was available on March 5th, but I didn't see the first copy until like a half a week later. So, you know, anyway, so it's maybe 3 weeks. Okay, about 3 weeks.
Yes.
So it hasn't been that long. And so I wanted to make sure that I'm like, hey, I did it the way I thought. I lined it all up and like, this is what makes sense to me. This is exactly what I would tell someone. It's possible that that's just my imagination, and other people do things differently. Say, this is not needed. But as soon as I put it out there, people got their hands on it.
You're going to get that anywhere. Whether you have the Avixa CTS, whether you have the dual cert, you can probably talk to the likes of former head of training Chuck Espinoza, who also has his PMB as well.
Right,
and like he, you know, you will not please everyone. Haters are going to hate. People don't like this podcast.
Well, right. Okay. And that's fine. And I think I did say in the book, hey, use this as a start, and if you need to adjust it for what works for you, do so. But I mean, I was like, hey, is this something that resonates with people? I wanted to make sure that it was useful to people. And it seems to be very well embraced. And I even had a LinkedIn colleague friend say, and he specializes in cybersecurity. So he said, this is actually really good for any IT. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll, oh my gosh. Oh, Justin, I'm already in conversation with people about getting it translated.
Yay!
Do you need an Irish translation?
I have cúpla focal oscailga. That's it, and that means a couple of words in Irish.
All right. Yeah, I hope they were nice.
It was. That's what it translates to, but like that is my limitations on the Irish spoken word now, because my daughter is going back and learn in infant class at 6 years of age. It's like, Daddy, what's the word for rainbow? And I'm like, I don't know.
That's a good question. Tell me when you find out.
Tell me when you find out. Yeah, and like I was walking her into the school and looked towards one of the teachers, and she's like, I have to look that up myself. So it's not used enough in parts of Ireland. You know, after 30 years of not studying Irish or using Irish, you start to forget a lot.
Well, see, now I've touched on a nerve. I'm sorry. I was just saying there are some people who would really find it useful.
It's fantastic, like to be able to translate that, you know, and while you're on that area of wanting, or people wanting it to be translated, are they relating to what's in the book and on an international front. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I had a conversation with someone in Dubai yesterday,
Wow.
and he was very interested in it. And he was like, perhaps we could get it translated into Arabic. I'm like, let's discuss this. Let's figure it out. So my first
Yeah.
step is to finish the ebook version of it.
Yes. Now,
So
like, and
the problem,
this is where, good on you. This is your fifth book. I'm right in saying a lot of these books, or all of these books, self-published.
yes.
Wow. That's an area, like, I know we talked offline about, I want to write a book at some stage. I've been saying this for 15 years. My wife is even saying, yeah, you always keep on saying
I
that.
believe in you. I
I
think you
know.
will.
I'll get
So
to
don't
it
give up on
eventually.
it.
I'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. But like the whole idea, like that's a project management. Sorry, really bad pun. It's a project management in itself of self-publishing books, and
It certainly, look at this. This is the first page, okay?
mhm.
Drop cap. Ooh, I did that. And then there's this whole this dedication at the beginning. So this is like a nice line at the top, and then there's a number here, but on the next page the numbers appear
So it's not
at the
as easy as
top.
just. So you're
Yeah.
telling me it's not as easy as just putting it into a Microsoft Word document and hoping and
You
pressing send?
could, but mine is prettier.
Yes, it
I
is.
wanted good quality. So, okay, for you,
Mhm.
this is an exclusive podcast discussion.
Right, exclusive
I
podcast
have a
moment.
quote from Ben Franklin at the top, up the front.
Right. Okay.
Ben Franklin, okay? Ben Franklin said, "We must all hang together,
Yes.
or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately."
Oh, wow.
That is something that he said
That's
during the
deep.
American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I chose that is because hanging in AV projects comes up a lot,
It does.
hang and
Yeah,
bang.
hang and bang and
So
walk
that was
away.
my little humor.
Don't tell the end user how to use the AV, but just walk away and get your money and go. Hang and bang. Yeah, that happens a lot. Yes.
So that's my little nod to the people who are in AV. I know what a hang and bang is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we must all hang together.
Hang, bang, and run. There's a lot of these. How many times then do you use the word cowboy installers in the book?
This is the project manager handbook, so you're not allowed to have a cowboy installer. So I
Yeah.
never do. I'm like,
Yes.
you will never have a problem because you, project manager, will do these things and everyone will be tight and it'll be on time. One of the things that happens, there was a chapter in the end called Agile for AV.
Okay.
And it's a terminology. So there's like waterfall project, which is usually
Yes,
the
I
V
remember
style.
learning the waterfall project
Mhm.
end of things. Yes,
And
yes.
and the Scrum or Agile, or maybe Agile or Scrum, and that has a thing called the stand-up meeting.
Right.
And the stand-up meeting is where everybody stands up, goes quickly, and you're supposed to only take 15 minutes for everybody to say what's going on. You say what you did yesterday, what you plan to do today, and what your blocks are.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like an install kickoff, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the installation window, that's a great time to do the agile meeting.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
do it at
So
the beginning
you
and do
have
it both
really,
times, beginning of the day, end of the day.
you've really taken the project management end of things and turned the screw and related it to the
Oh,
audiovisual industry. Yes, absolutely, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. Now, and as I mentioned, self-publishing, fantastic, because there's a lot of things that people don't think about. I haven't even got to that stage in my writing of my book of going, yeah, just try and get it out into a Word document and then go, does it make sense? But okay, you talked about translation there, Murphy. Have you thought along the lines, because we're working in the AV industry, audiobooks of this?
I sure have.
Oh, great. Oh, here we go. So is it
Well, I
available?
have this microphone. I
Yes.
have this voice.
Yes.
So I need to finish the work of understanding how to do the recording. I know that I can read this. I just need to put it in the right format. And there's just a matter of formatting to do it, doing the recording. So when I set aside the time and understand the technical part of it, it could be done within less than a month, I believe.
Oh yeah, absolutely good. Yes.
So one of the problems with it, though, is this is the same problem I'm having with the ebook, which is super close to being ready. Is there are a couple visual things. For example, one of the things that I included is a page of AV
Symbols and images. Yes,
symbols.
yes,
Yes. So the images that would be difficult to have in audio.
yes.
So I would need to have a link of or some sort of way to transmit, like, here's how you could get it. I would
Yes.
like to have a way of like attaching that. I know there's a way to do it, just haven't finished it. It's just a Google search and learning something, not a Google, but a little search, figuring it out, and I would know how to do it, and I'd have to have a place where it lives. So I need to do that for the audio, but for the Kindle, or the ebook, and the audiobook. But that's one of them, and there's a couple other ones that are like small spreadsheet format templates.
Right.
These are super tested, useful things that I want to hand to people. Say, here you go. And also, I've given a template of files for each project. This is a file tree that you have for managing all the information from the projects. It's very thorough. And I love that you're asking all these questions that make
And
me say, oh, yeah, I have an answer for that.
yes, and that's what I do. I do that. I put people like I always say like, oh yes, it's just going to be a quick conversational story, and then I throw the hard questions in, and you're like, I hate you, Justin. But
No, I love it.
yeah,
Bring it
awesome.
on. I got all of it
So-
right here.
Go over and buy Murphy Daly's new book, Project Management in AV. Great read and great to have on your desk and refer to, because there's so many project management books and exams and certifications that doesn't delve right into the audiovisual world. So go over and buy that. Episode 145 of the All Things TechIE podcast. And today we're going to break down pranks of April Fools that I do every year on this podcast, where you look at tech April Fool's jokes and just go, it's so hard to know anymore with the AI overload. Companies are truly putting artificial intelligence into absolutely everything this year. So let's look at some of the April Fool's jokes from around the world. 8 o'clock coffee announced the brew o'clock alarm. This is supposed to be an AI-powered alarm clock that wakes you up by automatically brewing a fresh cup of coffee the exact second you roll out of bed at 8 a.m. Honestly, waking up without a coffee is no joke, so they might be onto something here. Then you have the Traeger AI Meet AI grilling glasses, augmented reality smart glasses that feature a heads-up display projecting temperature and time right into your field of vision. They supposedly use thermal imaging for dullness detection, allowing you to literally see the heat zones. They even joked about a meat vision feature to guide your slicing, night vision, sear in the dark, and recipe radar that scans your fridge to create a meal. I'll say it right now, a pair of glasses that looks at my grill and tells me my steak is perfectly medium rare is a shut up and take my money situation. Currys in the UK, the British electronics retailer, made a device called SniffGuard. We all know the routine, especially if you're male. You grab a shirt off the chair, you do a quick sniff test and hope for the best. Well, SniffGuard is made up of AI gadget that scans your clothing, uses advanced scent sensing technology, and gives you a blunt, colour-coded verdict on whether your clothes stink. It replaces human objectivity with harsh, scientific reality. Again, an April Fool's joke. The mattress retailer Dreams decided to tackle late-night dehydration by unveiling a water mattress that you can literally drink from. It's a refillable bed designed to let you take a sip without never getting up out of bed during the night. On the food front, the ready meal company Deep Indian Kitchen launched a fake coconut chicken curry protein shake. They pointed out that protein is in every food these days, so why not drink your chicken curry instead of using a fork? Subway, the sandwich company, got in the action by targeting marathon runners. They unveiled a fake line of energy gels flavoured like their favourite sandwich sauces. Imagine hitting an 18-mile marathon and squeezing a packet of sweet onion or Southwest sauce into your mouth. Yeah. Baskin-Robbins, the ice cream company in the US, perhaps the most offensive to my taste buds, baby bottle pop candy for adults featuring a salmon flavoured lollipop. But the winner of the day, the product that speaks the deepest struggles of modern humanity, comes from Yahoo. They revealed the Scroll Stopper, a physical thumb guard that you wear on your finger. Its sole purpose, to physically block your finger from touching your phone screen, so you literally cannot doom scroll social media anymore. You can actually buy it on the Yahoo TikTok shop for $5. It arrives in a box that plays a classic Yahoo Yodel when opened. And a quick honourable mention to the IG group, who designed a phone case with a 20-kilogram detachable dumbbell handle, so tech bros can execute trades and do bicep curls at the same time. It comes in a Bull Run red and going long green. Of course, we had Elgato with their arm on their Stream Deck that you can play casino games. That was great. And Shure coming out with their already dented microphone. Yes. Pre-packaged, ready to go. But the best story of the week in the past week and a half comes from Nestlé and KitKat. Let's set the scene. It's late March and just ahead of the massive Easter holiday, and a delivery truck is making its routine transit from a factory in central Italy to a destination in Poland. Somewhere along the route, criminals intercepted the truck and made off with an entire cargo. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but thieves vanished with 12 metric tons of chocolate. That's a staggering 413,793 individual KitKat bars. To make matters worse for the parent company, Nestlé, these weren't just standard bars. These were KitKat's brand new Formula One line, moulded into the shape of F1 race cars as a part of a highly lucrative official sponsorship. Losing over 400,000 units of chocolate is, in your busiest season, may seem to a lot of people as a nightmare. But instead of panicking or issuing dry press releases, Nestlé leaned heavily into the interactive web design, brand banter, and internet meme culture to spin this into marketing gold. A company spokesperson said, "We've always encouraged people to have a break with KitKat, but it seems thieves have taken the message too literally and made a break with more than 12 tons of our chocolate." And they continued on and didn't stop there. Nestlé collaborated with the agency VML to build and launch a custom stolen KitKat tracker hosted directly on their corporate website. They took the back-end supply chain technology, the 8-digit batch codes used by law enforcement to trace stolen products, and gamified it for the consumer. The web tracker allowed anyone who bought a KitKat to type in the batch number found on the back of their wrapper to check if their chocolate belonged to the stolen Italian batch. When launching the site, KitKat posted, "Just to clarify, this isn't a stunt or an April Fool's joke. Someone really stole 12 tons of KitKats and really want to know where they've gone." And this is such an amazing idea of marketing strategy, and KitKat's global social media teams went to work and they made a bad story good. KitKat US began posting images of the digital evidence board. We're talking about pushpins, red string, maps, and blurry photo of Bigfoot, and Ocean's 11 poster, and the McDonald Land character, the Hamburglar, who was hilariously crossed as potential suspects in this theft. The cross-platform tech collaborations kept coming. KitKat partnered with the OTT streaming platform Tubi to release a Fox movie poster for fake true crime documentary called The KitKat Job. Meanwhile, KitKat Australia and New Zealand posted a viral job searching for a Chief Chocolate Protection Officer, requiring candidates to have a deep love for chocolate, be fast runners, and possess the ability to sleep with one eye open to watch the trucks. Because of Nestlé's such light-hearted, digitally native tone, it triggered an absolute avalanche of trendjacking from other major tech, food and consumer brands. The internet ran wild. Users began posting AI-generated videos depicting the crew from The Fast and the Furious hijacking the KitKat truck and wondering if Hungary was involved in the heist. You had soccer clubs joking about it. You had DoorDash, the tech delivery company, lifted KitKat's exact statement design, claiming that completely random packaging error resulted in 12 tons of KitKats in their Dash Marts, and urged app users to resolve the issue by adding 500 to 600 KitKats to their digital carts. KFC, the chicken company, wrote a message saying, "Sorry guys, we're product testing for 12th herb and spice." Denny's in America got involved. Domino's UK got involved, expressed their condolences while conveniently announcing the release of their new KitKat pizza. And another pizza company, Pizza Hut in South Africa, clarified they weren't the thieves, but happily shared a post detailing of what they would do if they had that many KitKat bars. It went further from fast food chains. Cybersecurity firm McAfee pitched their digital protection services, posting, "We may not know where the chocolate went, but we do know this: protecting consumers isn't something we ever take a break from." The microphone brand Rode promised to stream a special edition ASMR live from Switzerland, pointing out that 413,793 KitKat bars don't just disappear quietly. It snaps, it crunches, and would sound great on their wireless mics. And finally, Durex in Singapore went viral by announcing a fake wafer slip chocolatey lube that cheekily promised to last longer without any breaks. So when the dust settles, what's the return on investment for 12 tons of stolen chocolate? While the financial hit of the lost product is measurable, the value of the attention Nestlé secured by is exponentially larger. Industry analysts point out that the massive global buzz surrounding their new Formula One chocolate line will likely deliver a return far beyond expectations, some estimating 100 times over return on their initial F1 licensing outlay, resulting in tens of millions of dollars in free publicity. PR experts are already comparing this to 2018, when KFC suffered a massive supply chain failure in the UK and ran out of chicken. Instead of hiding, KFC took a full-page newspaper ads featuring an empty bucket with their letters rearranged to read the word FCK. KitKat has taken the legendary crisis playbook and completely modernised it for 2026. And that comes down to good marketing and good tech. Well, I'm going to take a break. Oh, it's a terrible pun. And that's all we have time for on episode 145 of the All Things Techie podcast. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification button and never miss a show. You can find all previous 144 episodes of the All Things Techie podcast on our official website, www.allthingstech.ie. You can find me across the socials at Sir Justin Dawson. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.